Greetings. Welcome to Growth Hacking Show. This show is for founders, CEOs, business entrepreneurs, consultant coaches who want to avoid costly mistakes and accelerate their business growth to change their prosperity for future. For that purpose, I'm going all the way today to Melbourne, Australia to actually get all the knowledge, steal from them almost with their permission, of course. So you can learn from their success secrets, how they're actually growing their companies and helping their clients. So that way you can do the same while you don't have to travel. I don't have to travel. That's why the technology comes in a picture. In case you don't know me, my name is Mohammed Siddique. I'm the host of a growth hacking show and the co-author of New Success Secrets from Atlanta, Georgia. Today with me is my special guest from Melbourne, Australia. He is the co-founder and executive director of Alignme. Is a platform where sales and marketing experience comes together. Okay, sales people always blame the marketing people, oh, they are not getting me good leads, and the marketing people says we are generating so many leads, and the sales people are not good enough, they are not converting well. And usually I talk to, and I'm sure you have the same experience, you talk to people where you are either talking to a marketing people or you're talking to a sales people. However, that starts today because they really need to talk to marketing, and the sales department need to talk to each other. In fact, they should be sitting side by side. Working together with them is the critical. That's the only way you will make more sales, what you want, more than imagine. And I have no other than my guest, co-founder and executive director of Alignme, Brett Bonser. They have the experience of working sales and marketing, bringing together in a way very really aligned. That's the company name, Alignme. They're aligning sales and marketing together. Without any further delay, please join me to give a warm welcome to Brett Bonser from Melbourne, Australia. Brett, welcome.
Mohammed, thanks for the opportunity to speak to your audience on the topic of growth and hopefully unlock some of the secrets that we've learned over the last 15 years, helping some of the world's largest companies, but also high growth businesses across four continents and creating over 400 go-to-market plans. We've also trained in excess of 2,000 sales and marketing leaders in how to grow their organisations. And through today's conversation, I'm going to share a few of the things and the tips that your audience can put into action to grow their businesses. Delighted to be here.
They are not my audience. They are not your audience. They are our audience. We are on this together. Okay, Brett, let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who you were surrounded with that inspired you to get started with this Alignme?
Great question. Let me, in terms of where I am, as you know, I'm co-founder and joint leader of the Alignme business, and we're based in Melbourne, Australia, but we have a global footprint. How I arrived is probably perhaps a more interesting story, and like many of us, I'm a product of my family, and in particular my father. I don't particularly like to talk about myself, Mohammed, but my family are pretty interesting. My dad was a child of the Second World War. His father fought overseas in New Guinea and came back a fairly challenged man. So at 14 years of age, Dad had to leave school and really provide for the family. But he was always driven and had a passion to be more than just a manual worker. And so later on, he ended up opening his own construction business in office petitioning. But again, he was always very different. He'd never been out of Australia, but at the time of the growth of the Middle East in Iran and Iraq, he looked over the horizon and said, I reckon there's opportunity there. So having never been on a plane anywhere in the world, decides to jump on a plane, go to Dubai. And he said, Brett, I knew I'd arrived in the right place because there was only one multi-story building, but there was cranes as far as the eye could see. So he ended up running a very, very successful construction business. I guess that gets in your blood So 15 years ago, I left the corporate world. I was head of strategy and sales for one of the big telcos, and started on the journey of running my own organisation, which now is Alignme.
Wonderful, amazing background, impressive, very impressive. So Brett, based on your experience of working on growing your own company and working with your clients, because you're helping them to grow their sales and marketing, and hopefully you do the same for yourself too. What are the top 3 missteps to avoid that hurts you for business growth?
So there's a lot of things that I could talk about here in terms of things that we've seen, but I think let me touch on 3. And again, it relates around people, and people. People, and people.
Okay.
You can have the best plan, you can have the best process, but if the leader of the organisation doesn't have the passion in their heart for really serving their customers, ultimately they come unstuck. Likewise, if the leadership of organisations want to play the blame game, they're looking to blame their customer, blame their supplier, blame their staff, ultimately that's a recipe for lack of success. And then the third thing is, I think having that intuition and then building that plan to go pick the market segments that are going to grow. And again, I refer back to my father. You know, how did Dad go from being a man on the tools to running Australia's largest office petitioning business and being the first person to export Australian building products to the Arab Gulf? He really had his finger on the pulse of where the opportunity would lie. But he was able to translate that into a clear plan for growth. So that market intuition, but then the ability to actually translate that into something that was sustainable and meaningful, and actually get the right team around him, were, I think, the secrets to one of the secrets to success, and obviously the inverse things to avoid.
Wonderful. I love the people. If you start blaming others and except you, everybody else is like it's all their fault, that's a big misstep. So you have to take the responsibility. So that leads to my follow-up question. What are the top 3 success secrets? I know you probably have so many, I can see there's so much probably written on the back. What's on your back? What I see it before I ask the question.
So let me talk to that, Mohammed, because it also goes to the 3 steps of success.
Okay. So hey, let me ask the question then. What are the top 3 success secrets for the business growth?
Indeed, and unsurprisingly, one of those is people. Plan, people, execution. Let me dig a little bit deeper in terms of what I mean by that. You talked about earlier about alignment and more importantly, misalignment of the sales function and the marketing function. In truth, it's actually not misalignment of the people. We find most organisations, the people actually want to get on. They want to work together. The misalignment is not around that. It's about misalignment to the plan for growth. So if you want to really accelerate the growth of your business, you need to have a common plan that the whole organisation buys into. And ultimately, that common plan should be focused around your target buyers and actually how you move those target buyers through their journey. Over to my right-hand side, you'll see a 1-page plan for growth. And that's the outcome of our planning methodology called Funnel Camp. And our planning software called Funnel Plan. So I guess the first step is make sure that you have that clear plan that the whole team buy into, and make sure it's focused on progressing buyers. Secondly, it's about the people. Make sure that you have the people that have the right passion, and I would say the passion is the passion for the customer. And secondly, they need to be skilled with the most appropriate skills for the role. In the world that we live in, which is the B2B marketing world, it's amazing the lack of formal training, even amongst the world's biggest companies. And we work with companies like IBM, CA, Sony, and Australia Post and others. Unfortunately, B2B marketing is one of those topics that's not actually taught that much at the universities. It's largely consumer marketing, and so the lack of the formal skills in those right people is critical. The other thing about people, they say this, and this is not my view, but I'm a fan of Jim Collins, Good to Great, Built to Last. Get the right people on the bus, get the wrong people off the bus, get them all in the right seats and facing in the right direction. So people is the key, and people executing against a plan. And then the third thing is about executing with rhythm. We find those companies that really see accelerated success, they measure and monitor everything that they're doing. It's about iterative change and improvement to their process. So that requires execution management to a clear process, a clear plan that the whole team buy into. So plan, people, and execution are the three keys to success. I would add, Mohammed, we've actually done 2 global benchmark studies on this, and we found that those companies that actually executed around those 3 things, plan, people, and execution, they outgrew their nearest competitor by 5.4% each year. They were 38% more effective from proposal to closure, and they were 36% more effective at retaining customers. So if you get those three elements right, you outgrow your nearest competitor.
Plan, people, and execution. Once we have all these 3 things aligned, you can close more sales, retain more customers for a long time, and outperform your competition.
Correct.
Is that right?
Correct.
Great. So, Brett, how are you growing your business right now in this economy?
So, unsurprisingly, we're following our own recipe each year, and again, we have a 1-page plan that we live and breathe. I would add that we actually don't facilitate the creation of that plan ourselves. So as directors, when we want to kind of build and evolve our own growth plan, we get one of our external consultants to come in and facilitate the process for us. It's one of the other things that we found is, if you're too close to the detail, it's difficult to facilitate. So we have a very structured, rhythmic planning process where we leverage one of our team to take us through our own journey. The other thing is that we're investing heavily in our own people. We're bringing in some of the best and the brightest out of the universities here in Australia and also internationally. We put them through a very, very rigorous mentoring program. And personally, that's fantastic for me. I get to work with some amazing young people from here and abroad. Indeed, we're also doing that in terms of partnerships around the world. We've got some great partners in Europe, in the US and Asia, so that's also part of the people part of the business. And then the third thing is that we execute with rhythm. So we've got a very, very structured review process where we're looking at all of the data around our sales and marketing pipeline, the effectiveness of each one of our marketing campaigns, the effectiveness of our propose to close in terms of our selling activities, and we're making changes to our processes informed by the data.
Brett, that's amazing. It's amazing how you really created almost like a scientific process to grow your business. So you are watching this. I'm going to ask few more grilling questions. Brett, at Alignme for 15 years as a co-founder, running a business is like a roller coaster. Sometimes it's going up and sometimes it's going down. Is that right?
Indeed.
Here is my question. When is the down moment? What keeps you going?
So what a great question. Let me take you back to that down moment. So if we remember back to the global financial crisis,
yeah.
We were doing planning for some of the world's biggest companies. We were deeply engaged, as an example, with Komatsu. You may have heard of them. They make very large, heavily industrial equipment. And we earned the right to work with that business, prior to the global financial crisis, and they were absolutely, growing amazingly. And then all of a sudden the GFC hit, and here within Australia it bit really hard. And if you were an external consultant, there were sort of global edicts to cut external consultants, and so we saw our revenue and our sales drop 70 to 80% almost overnight. So it was a pretty dark time in the business. So we had some real big choices. Do we batten down the hatches, downsize our staff, really almost cut back to the core? Or do we trust that the market will turn? Do we trust in the processes and the things that we believed in, and ride it out and keep the team together so that we could ride out when the market turned? And I think the strength of the relationship that I have with my co-founder and the belief in the team made that a fairly easy decision. So the two directors stopped taking salary for a few months. We kept the team on board, and when the market turned, we were absolutely positioned for success. So in the dark times, you've really got to have those right people around you. You've got to believe in each other.
Very good, very well said. Thank you so much for sharing that personal, how you survived the last storm, and now you have the experience. So how the Growth Hacking Show community, people who are watching this right now, can support you?
Well, clearly we're in the growth hacking business, and that's why I was very interested and delighted to be part of your program, Mohammed. I'm interested to, have conversations with other growth leaders around the world, and if we've got some value to share, to actually support you and our global growth hacking community in a number of different ways. We've got a lot of great thought leadership on our website. We've got a global team that we work with in terms of doing growth plans, and personally I've delivered growth projects anywhere from Nairobi in Kenya to Mexico City in Mexico, and London in the UK. So certainly being able to connect with other growth leaders around the world, share our ideas, and where it's appropriate, earn the right to serve that community.
Wonderful. So you heard it directly from Brett Bonser. So go ahead, if that resonates with you, go ahead and connect with him on LinkedIn and say hello to him. That's how you want to start the conversation. So Brett, as we are about to wrap up, what would you say as a final word?
So first of all, my final thing is, people talk a lot about selling as being all about the function, and clearly there is. We've talked a lot about process through this morning's conference call, but the other big piece of that is the heart. All right, you've got to be passionate about what you do. You've got to truly be passionate around your customer, and I'm a huge fan of Bob Miller, who was the founder of Alignme Corporation. I had the great pleasure of actually doing some work directly with Bob, and Bob said, "You win by helping your customer to win," and he meant win personally, and that'd be my closing remarks to the growth hacking group. Be constantly looking for those opportunities to help the people that you're engaging with to win personally, and then ultimately you'll enjoy personal success yourself. Wonderful,
wonderful. Your win is directly related to your customers' win, so you should be working for your customers' win, not for yourself. That automatically brings your win automatically. So thank you, very well said, Brett. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us today. On the behalf of Growth Hacking Show community and our entire team, we really appreciate you. This is Mohammed Siddique signing off from Atlanta, Georgia, wishing you good luck, good sales, and I do hope our path cross again with another amazing guest. Until then, all best wishes.
Thanks to the audience, Mohammed. my details, obviously you'll share, bbonser@alignme. Connect with me on LinkedIn and let's start a conversation. Bye for now from Melbourne.